Good afternoon. Welcome everyone who have joined us. I welcome you to the Media Center Ukraine. I'm Olga Tomanova. It is the 722nd day since the full-scale invasion of the Russian aggressor on our land, and I thank all the people in media who are working in order to tell the truth about this war. And today, during the press conference, the participants will declare the creation of a association of suppliers of medical aid, and this is very important. So the representatives are Leonid Fedorovsky, who is head of the Public Union Association of Operators and Instructors on First Aid, Nataliya Voronkova, who used to be the advisor to the Minister of Defense, David Plaster, the U.S. veteran, head of the project Anomaly, Oleksandr Syvyryn, director of the project the Dnipro Hospitaliers, and Gatalyak, who is the program director of Razom Heroes, the Razom for Ukraine Foundation. For us, this is a great event, and it is very significant that you decided to announce your joining of forces. So who will present the news? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here. I also traditionally thank our defenders who give us an opportunity to gather here and to do our important things. Thank you, the journalists. Thank you, those who are watching. I'm Leonid Fedorovsky. For almost 10 years, or even more, I've been engaged in first aid and tactical medicine projects. And I know people here for many, many years, and we have done a lot together. So at the moment, in our state, there's the increasing scale of the problem about the provision of help, the standards of aid, and training in order to provide help. And there's a proverb that if there's a war in the country, then everyone in the country is a military person. And we say now that everyone here in this country has to know how to provide first aid. Whatever the framework is, this may be civilian life or military life, but of course military and the civilian lives are intermingled now. Our organization has been in existence for more than 3 years. We're actively involving all people who are providers or operators of the first aid, those who are being trained, those who have skills, those who have learned quite a lot of time ago, state bodies, producers, manufacturers, and providers to introduce quality standards in our country that reflect the demands of today. Our aim is to, as soon as possible, answering the challenges that we have to create the most safe and the most favorable conditions in order to do this. Not a single country in the world has done this before. We have to teach the entire population of the country to provide first aid. Also, the numerous armed forces of Ukraine, everyone there should be taught. This will be done with in cooperation with the Ministry of Defense, with the command, with the Medical Forces Command, so that every military person can protect their own lives and save the lives of their brothers and sisters in arms. We have to consolidate and analyze and process our experience so that we work as efficient as possible now. This is our major aim. There are some additional aspects like the protection of the rights of those who provide help. We are all actively involved in this, and we invite everyone to take part. Please join our web resources, come to us bodily. We will be happy to get any help. Natalia, maybe it's an open secret that all the representatives of organizations who are presented here are rather efficient in their work. Why do you want to join the forces? Well, this is a long overdue decision, and I regret that we have joined the forces only in 2024, but we were trying to work with the state since 2014. I'm a person who took part in creating first standards when we tried to connect and to join with each other, but we couldn't find common language and we couldn't set a target to help the state. Probably everyone was trying to prove that they are the best and proving their arguments. However, this is good that this happened in 2024. Thank you everyone for coming, but first of all, I want to thank Deputy Minister of Defense Nataliya Voronkova, who was able to move this from a standstill, because over the last years, we didn't have any contact with the command, military command or the command of military forces with the volunteers. However, at the moment the situation has changed, and I am very, very grateful. And we will not only teach, this is very good, but everyone who is here, both in this room or elsewhere, people who have combat experience and the experience of providing aid during this war, and we have even more experience in creating some legal foundation for this. So this is very important that the Minister of Defense, not personally Nataliya Voronkova, but in November 23, they have set up the Department of Health. However, no one understands what they do, but they are there. However, they did not want to go to meet us halfway. However, the command of the medical forces did this. We were waiting for 6 years for the medical forces to start to communicate with us. The previous two commanders were not talking to public at all. Now we have working meetings with the commander, we have working groups, we talk to each other in chats. So at the moment I have only one doubt about the Department of Health at the Ministry of Defense, because I don't see their work and I don't see their representatives here. We invited them, and we have the memorandum of cooperation with them, so we did invite them. But Sukharukova, who is the acting head of the Department of Health, they ignored us. As far as I understand, the health department function is the formation of the politics of the military medicine as such. However, there was no document issued by them about the development of military medicine. The command of medical forces is obliged to realize it, to implement it, but what they will implement if there is no policy? And of course, the command of medical forces also is responsible for the formation of needs and requirements. In this, they have to talk directly to the troops, and this is being done. And all the documents that we produce go to be agreed with the military. You are the veteran of the U.S. forces, David. Why you are here? Why have you decided to join? Well, I waited for almost 10 years for NATO to join. I've been in Ukraine for 13 years now, and of course there's a huge difference between Ukrainians and people who are in the NATO. I just don't know why the states have not made the decision as we did in 2014 when we translated the March Protocol and gave it to Ukraine. So we are still waiting for this. Leonid has invited me, and I said, okay, I'm not waiting anymore. I become a public figure, and I am also a member of the academic group that will have the access to microphone, and we will tell you how the work is going, what the mistakes are, and how to improve this so that we can exchange our experience, American and Ukrainian. That's why I'm here. Thank you for being here. Alexander and Taras, the questions to you. Natalia has fleetingly touched upon the challenges, but let's talk in more detail. And we understand that there's a lot of people, of public organizations there who help our military and civilians to master military medicine. So who can join your effort? Are you open to everyone, or there are some other considerations? We are open to cooperation with every organization. Of course, there are some criteria as far as the selection goes, but everyone knows this anyway, and we know everyone who works in this field, so we are prepared to cooperate. What about the challenges? What is the thing that should be done first of all, right now? The challenges that our organization faces, well, there's a lot of work, and that's the main challenge. We should work and work and work. Hello? Tactical medicine is about life. The trained warrior fighters are about the saving of lives. Correctly organized processes in tactical medicine are the preparation and learning and standardization of the instruments of tactical medicine means a quick saving of lives. So we see that all the participants in the press conference see that we should go towards standardization. The Razom for Ukraine Foundation is not very well known in the public space, but we are well known in trenches because we have provided more than 100,000 medical kits to the armed forces of Ukraine. This is probably 1/10 of the entire provision for the military, and we have provided more than $25 million worth of tactical medicine supplies to the armed forces, to more than 700 military units, including border guards and state security service, hospitals and national guards. And as of today, more than 120 evacuation car vans, including 6 armored-plated Toyotas and some other trucks and cars we have provided. But today we have a challenge on which we will focus in the future in the tactical medicine, is the analysis of the problems, of the challenges, the analysis of requirements and needs, more focus on analytical work. Where those problems arise, we are ready to join there. And we are launching training this year for the first time for our military, for combat medics, and for instructors in tactical medicine. As in December last year, we had a fruitful communication with the command of the medical forces. We are verifying the data. This has to be analyzed, this has to be considered jointly, and we have to see where the Razom for Ukraine are ready to offer their shoulder and their help. We are prepared to meet those requirements point by point. And the general requirement and need is immense. And of course, we have to very clearly analyze what a soldier receives, what is their quality of tactical medicine supplies that they get. We also are ready to help the Command of Medical Forces, the Ministry of Defense, and the entire armed forces of Ukraine, so that this process within the framework of the working groups started by the ministry continues. I think that it's going to be rather long, but together we will reach more results and quicker results. As far as NATO standards are concerned, this is very good that we are adopting the NATO standards like MET 212 and EGMET, and this pertains to first aid, medical aid, and to evacuation. But there's a remark: you shouldn't go to the hell before your father, because the standard EGMET P2 is being renewed and refurbished abroad, because it pertains to 218. And for instance, we do not have 3 Apache helicopters to evacuate a wounded person. We have to very closely look at NATO standards, but we have to get clarification about them. We try to get the clarification from the ministry what they mean when they say that all our standards will be based on NATO standards. Is this obligatory, or is this just a wish list? And another thing I wanted to voice, it's very good that this was said publicly. At the latest meeting of our working group, it was said that on the 16th of February, it will be 100 days since the Department of Health was set up at the Ministry of Defense. And on the 5th of December, a new commander of medical forces was appointed. So now we have 100 days of their record. So we would like to hear from them what they have achieved, what are their plans. We know how efficiently our volunteers can work, but we want to hear what the Department of Health of the Ministry and the Command of Medical Forces have managed. I want to sum up. Yes, at the moment, the training of the military and the provision of defense forces is very important, but we are not only about them, we're about the first aid, we're about the medical standards, and when someone talks about NATO standards, we can tell you what they are. We have experts, even in this room, who can tell you what are the NATO standards and how they are implemented. So we offer our expertise and our knowledge to the state, to the citizens. If you feel the need, come to us. We will prompt, we will tell, we will show. We have several military and civilian projects that are being implemented right now. We have even more plans. However, we know that the eyes are scared, but the hands do something. So we have a huge opportunity to do something, a huge opportunity to do what hasn't been done ever before, to make the most protected, to make the most provided country in the world. This is about reality. We are doing this even now. People who sit here, they are providing our military forces. They are evacuating people, and we have other people in this room and in our union who are doing priceless work. These are not only Ukrainian people, these are people from different countries all the world, interested people, active people, and I hope that we will continue our cooperation and we'll tell about our activity. Our goal is clear. The human life is the highest value. We should spare no effort and no resource to save lives. So those who front our organization are appealing to you. We are open to anyone who wants to cooperate, who are interested in improving the situation. We're open to the dialogue, to the moderation of these processes, and we hope that very soon we will be able to corroborate the words that we have said here. And these are not just promises. This is I tell you as the head that we are ready to report about on our results. I wanted to add something. Ukraine has a very immense challenge in the Russian-Ukrainian war, and the aim is that Ukrainian manufacturers start to produce Ukrainian tactical medicine supplies as much as possible. We have some Ukrainian produce, and Razom for Ukraine is buying tourniquets and blood transfusion systems, and a lot of this can and must be produced in Ukraine. Of course, some technologies will require some time to adjust their production to the quality, but I still think that the Ukrainian manufacturers are able to do this 100%, and this will be done much cheaper, and this will be the influx of money to Ukrainian economy. We are doing quite a lot in order to look for and find Ukrainian producers, manufacturers, including not only medical tactical medicine, but also radio and so on. Ukrinform, Nataliya Molchanova. My first question is to Ilya. You mentioned training for all the layers of population, all the strata of population, so we're talking not about only tactical medicine, because I heard from the military that tactical medicine is from the military. But what about civilians? So how will you work in this field? And my other question is, there's quite a lot in the world of professional associations that set standards. We also have the process of creation in the sphere of medicine, in other fields. How many operators you have in your association? How many of them are in Ukraine, or this is impossible to calculate, and whether they all may be called operators? And do you need people who teach medical aid, tactical medicine, to have a certificate that they have the right to do this, because I know people who were studying abroad. Can we in Ukraine have something unified? Thank you very much for this huge question. I would say that we should conduct a special meeting to talk about all those points. Yes, not only we are talking about tactical medicine, because tactical medicine is the military science. It's not as much medicine, but this is the tactics of actions when the medical situation arises during combat. So the person who learns tactical medicine has to be, first of all, a qualified infantryman or infantry person. We will be talking about how to provide for security and how to evacuate person, how to disengage the enemy, and only then about how to evacuate from the combat field. So this is the necessary prerequisite. We have national legislation which obliges people to know how to provide tactical first aid. Order or Decree 431 of the Ministry of Health is the acting law or norm that obliges us to. So if you come to the courses and the person who teaches you there, trains you there, does not use the Order 441, then soonest of all, they don't know what they're talking about. In Ukraine, it is very fashionable now to be an instructor. We have many of them. Maybe this is not a very polite issue, but we have some internal term definition. The person who identifies themselves as an instructor. Instructor is a profession. When we come to Natalka, Dave, Alexander, or myself, we produce official documents that give us the right to train according to this or that program. If the person does not have such a document, well, this is a problem. In Ukraine, we have also different standards, qualification of tactical medicine instructor or first aid instructor and a number of other requirements. I think that we will specially tell about this and we will produce some infographics. I would not very much want to comment on an unpleasant thing that not every person can be the instructor of TechMed. Although some people say that you need only 3 days to become one. This is a complicated work that requires high qualification. We help people to go through special education, to get special documents and to work according to the recognized programs. And if I work with the military, I work according to this Order 441 and the military standards based on the NATO standards. Maybe we will show you the graphs next time. And of course, this is a very good question about the single standard. Everyone is working on this. We've been trying to do this since 2014. However, you know that the present standard, the acting standard, is dates back to 2015, and we have 2024 now. So I hope that soon we will have the legal foundation, not only Order 441, but there will be a procedure worked out for the military and approved, the procedure of mutual help to the military, and those who will be admitted to the military and provided access to the military. The Ukrainian Military Medical Academy will issue those certificates. Can I ask the question to the Ukrainian people in general. Look, if you, I won't as an MP say, dear Ukrainians, I've been here for 13 years now. I'm not silent because I know that Ukraine will live. I went to the front without any contract, without ID card. I fought by Slovyansk, and for the first, because I knew what to do. I saw S-mark for the first time. I previously have seen this only in the movies when a drug-addicted person was doing this. If you saw strings on the sausages at the market, well, they cut themselves. But you know, this is what Ruskies do. So my question is, can everyone ask everyone who serves if they had the tactical medical training? How can they put a bandage on them or on themselves or other people? And whether they have the protocol. If there's no protocol, then you should go to your platoon commander and ask why so. There are many companies in Ukraine who have made quite a lot of good things. And by the way, my friends in America have used quite a lot of Ukrainian produce. However, many people do not know about this because there is no communication from the military, from the medical command to the volunteers, to the military. I am going there with Ukrainian things like bread and salt in order so that our partners know about this, so that they can pose the questions on their part to the Ukrainian state, so that the Ukrainian state gives money for some efficient work. When we are together, we will work for the victory on the black and red square. Since 2019, I'm engaged in the training process in our Hospitaliers organization. We are training not only the military, we also train civilians actively, and there's such a nuance when the tactical medicine became fashionable. This is sort of a marketing gimmick to enlist as many people as possible, although this is not very proper for the civilians. For military, this is very useful, and however, it is also very topical for civilians, if, of course, those civilians do not want to mobilize and go to the combat. So I see this association as a structure that will allow to form certain standards and monitor the correct usage of terms, because this is important. And of course, we are teaching civilians as well, but you should distinguish between them. Any other questions? Yes, please. Glory to Ukraine.
For 10 years, I'm also a veteran of the war as well, having served over 4 years on the front lines. We have heard you discuss the formation of this medical association, and I think that this is a very positive initiative that should have occurred at least 10 years ago. However, the most serious issue of the capability of medical personnel on the front lines remains. Over the last 20 months, myself and my investigative team have found a dangerous and inherent lack of skill sets among our medical personnel due to poor education standards, that has cost the lives of many of their patients with medically solvable issues. This evidence is collected and given to a Verkhovna Rada committee for investigation and shall later be addressed by the criminal justice system. I am not just a trauma care medic or an officer. I also possess a background in criminology, criminal justice and forensic science. To those of you here, I ask the question, what are you all doing to address the problems that I've outlined that you all may or may not be aware of? And what framework, if any, have you initiated to fix these issues, if so known?
Thank you, Vada, for the question. Of course, we're not the government. We can't ask the government to do something. We can't make them do something. We can ask them. So we're assembling together to collect all the people who are not indifferent to this question. Because the most important thing is to bring back people alive and to prevent the loss of their lives. We've all lost a lot of people in this last 10 years, you and I. So we're working to hold the government accountable for that and help them working forward. We're not focusing on necessarily at this point who's guilty, but what is not correct and how we're going to work forward together. Because we can't do it without the government. Many people have tried these last 10 years to work without the government over and over. And maybe people watching don't think I'm intelligent, but we can agree Einstein is. And he says doing the same thing over and over again, but only expecting the results to be different is by definition insanity. I think everybody assembled here today is very sane, very competent in areas, and came here with the best intentions to move forward. We have invited the government to be here today, and they were too busy. I don't want to speak for them. I wasn't elected, nor was I appointed to do so. But the questions are out there. That is why we're also going to be raising these questions, and if you would like to provide a copy of your current findings, I'm more than happy to share them with our partners, because we should be having these conversations openly and honestly. Because if Ukraine needs help and doesn't have the ability to do it itself, there is a whole bunch of partners around the world and good people willing to help Ukraine. And I think the world has seen that. Some people maybe just discovered Ukraine on a map in 2022. And some people have been fighting in the nasty, dirty places since 2014 when the war actually began with Russia. But if you're willing, we're willing to work with that and to push that forward to make sure people hear it. And we're open to the community, not just in Ukraine, but around the world, to share their concerns and to support any way they can. There's lots of great organizations that have been doing this for years, and we need more volunteers. Not just send money, send resources, send material support. Write your senators, your parliamentarians. Talk amongst your people. We're trying to save lives. Anybody can take a life, but you have to learn properly how to save a life. And that's why we've assembled here today. Did I address your question fully, sir? Thank you.
Дякую. Чи є ще питання в залі?
Any other questions? Something to add. I want to, well, we understand that among our population, among Ukrainians, there is a trend that people go to learn. They also want to learn pre-medical help, aid. Let's try to help them and tell them how they should choose the organization that provides such a service or an instructor, what they should pay attention to. I mean, an average Ukrainian. Well, there are some criteria that should be taken into account. First, a good training does not happen within a short span of time. When you are promised that you will get the material within an hour, this is not correct. I understand that you want to do it as soon as possible. The minimum program is 8 hours. For civilians, the minimum is 8 hours. Another point, and often there's a mistake when they try to combine a lot within one course. Trauma and reanimation, resurrect, and this is trying to do as best as they could, but in fact this will only decrease the results. And trying to mix it all up is a bad story. The third point, again, for some reason there's an idea about trainings that do not cost anything, and very often they ask the instructor to do this free of charge, but people do not understand that people invest in this quite a lot, time and resource and their sustainability. However, they still think that because of the war, everyone should do this free of charge. And I think that this is bad. Of course, there are many enthusiastic instructors, and they try to do this. But if this happens for free, they very soon get tired. This cannot last for months and months on end. So when within 4 hours, for instance, 4 hours we will teach you everything, and this will cost 300 hryvnias, this is bad. This is not a good quality. And again, I want to add that today we are working with colleagues in the civilian sector so that Ukraine, let's say, is the internationally recognized provider of medical training, because we have quite a lot of experience. So we want everyone who want to go through training, or those who are obliged to do this, municipal service, on a cycled basis should go through such courses with a recognized provider who gives you the confirmation of this sort. And there are, if something happens to us, we want other people to be able to do this. And that's why, you know, the command of the media center have been trained by us. So we went to you with a quiet heart. And the medics have a joke, what to do when the aid is myself. We want everyone to be able to help us when something happens to us. So from us all, it depends that we are able to work out these requirements and standards. Ukraine, with all the problems that we have, is the best window of opportunities for the best results. And of course, we train all the military free of charge. I see all those Chinese tourniquets. However, all the people from General Syrsky to General Zaluzhny, I was ashamed of the fact that it was an outdated and bad equipment, and there were, of course, very bright Chinese cats, maybe a cat or something like this. And I was very much ashamed when I saw this, but I do not tell the names. However, we could see something on the internet when we had a very old photo, the original Sich, not and there was Chinese produce as well. And some people saw this, and this is a shame. We are prepared to provide free of charge to the general headquarters normal tourniquets. If you lack money, I am, as a military pensioner, can donate some of my pension. I support, as the former military, we are prepared to provide any tourniquets to the general headquarters on condition that they first go through training, and tourniquets then. Thank you. I want to thank you all for your work. This is super important for every Ukrainian, for our military, and I hope that the communication, including the communication with our state bodies responsible for the processes, has already started, and this is a good sign for us that we will arrive at the standards that we are talking to. At least we hope so. Thank you, friends, for your interest in this topic, and I hope that after such an event, our viewers and listeners will think about coming and getting the basic course of pre-medical assistance, aid, and every one of us will be able to provide it if needed. Thank you, the forces of our security and defense, for the opportunity to hold these events. Let's work together for our victory. Glory to Ukraine.